who don't know, he lived here for many years. He taught at UCSB. He bought a home here. My sister and I were both born here in Cottage Hospital. And his closest friends, Jim and Vicky Cheshire, still live here in our dad's former house, in fact. Since leaving Santa Barbara, our dad made a great effort to bring us kids back here, often to visit Jim and Vicky. 2 years ago, we brought our dad back up to Santa Barbara to celebrate his 75th birthday. And we shared a great weekend with Jim and Vicky, joined also by his close friends Lori and Alex. My dad had made it clear that upon his death, he did not want a funeral or any other kind of somber gathering. He wanted us to throw him a proper bash.
Yes.
So we're gonna do our best to honor his wishes today, spending the day remembering his life, celebrating his contributions to our lives, sharing fun and funny memories, and listening to some of his favorite music rather than focusing on our loss. You may have noticed that many of us are already celebrating his legacy by wearing orange today, and I see that many others joined us. In case anybody missed it, orange was his favorite color. It was a minor obsession of his, in fact. Over his lifetime, he had bought, received, collected, and boasted a wide variety of socks, cars, shoes, watches, trinkets, and all other sorts of orange things. As my sister Erin recently told me, I really don't look great in orange, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wearing a lot of it this year. I agree with her. If you knew my dad well enough to be invited here today, you probably also know that he was not always the easiest person to get along with. He was impatient, obstinate, loud, and hard to please. Some have even said that he was one of the most difficult people or frustrating people they knew. But the story obviously doesn't end there, or else we probably wouldn't be gathered here today, so eager to celebrate his life and his legacy. Despite his faults and his many idiosyncrasies, and far more importantly, my dad had many amazing attributes. You will hear from others about my dad's many intellectual accomplishments and contributions. He was, as you all know, a tireless and devoted advocate of the Free Society, and he never gave up that fight. I hope that I can give you a better sense of some of his personal strengths. He was indeed a brilliant thinker. He was open to discussing and arguing any and every topic you could think of, and equally with us as children, from as soon as we were able to talk. I really can't remember when these sort of discussions began. They were just a constant in my childhood. I do distinctly remember one long conversation we had when I was just 10 years old, in which we discussed and debated the origins of the universe and the beginning of time until past midnight. He cherished his children so deeply. I can't tell you how many people, reaching out to me and my siblings after he passed away, have expressed how much he loved his children and how proud he was of all of us. His gang, as he affectionately referred to us throughout our life. He was always there to listen to us. In fact, he would have eagerly listened to us much more had we let him. He was the most reliable and sturdy shoulder to cry on throughout my youth. He was also unconditionally forgiving. Though he undeniably had a hot temper, to put it lightly, he calmed quickly. He was always quick to apologize, and he never held a grudge, even when he probably should have. I cannot end without noting that my father introduced us to his wonderful and varied music collection, including lots of blues and jazz, and of course his all-time favorite band, for those who don't know, the Allman Brothers. We spent many summer days and nights on long road trips, us kids in the back flipping through his collection of cassette tapes, finding the next one to pop in and sing along together as a family. Midnight Rider, Stormy Monday, Your Mama and Your Papa, Eric Clapton, and on and on. These songs and artists, all of whom I also love today, will forever remind me of my dad. In many ways, the very life that he led was an inspiration to us. In my mind, not in my mind, one of the most remarkable features of my father's life is how far he traveled. There you go. You can take her out. She's like, I want to sing the ABCs to everybody. So one of the most remarkable features of my dad's life for me is how far he traveled. how many odds he beat physically, mentally, and intellectually over the course of his lifetime. I find his journey amazing. This boy, born in 1939 in communist Hungary, to parents who were educated and hardworking, but really lacked any intellectual spirit whatsoever, and were in fact quite prejudiced. He went on to live the life that he did. He fostered his own intellectual spirit with no family support, and he grew into one of the strongest defenders and advocates of a free society in all of our lifetime. I remember having wonder often how my dad could fight so tirelessly for his beliefs. Year after year, lecture after lecture, book after book, with no obvious progress towards winning that fight. No clear reward in sight. But that was silly of me. The truth is, he had been fighting his entire life. He fought to keep his spirit alive in spite of brutal, authoritarian parents. He spoke out against Marxism as early as elementary school. He fought to obtain his own freedom by escaping from Hungary, and then he fought with his oppressive and brutal father once they came to the United States together, eventually running away to make it on his own. There really should be no surprise that he was prepared to fight so hard for what he believed in, a freer society, no matter how long and difficult that fight was. Since he passed away in March, I've thought of him constantly, and certain regrets have surfaced in my mind. Not the least of which is that I wish I had acknowledged and focused on all of his attributes rather than trying to help him fix his faults. Of course, that's easier said than done, right? And let's be honest, for those of you who knew him well enough, he did a pretty darn good job of pointing out his own strengths. So the rest of us didn't have to. Despite my regrets, I will be forever grateful that I had the pleasure of a very nice last visit with him before he became ill in New York, and the honor of spending my father's last days with him at his bedside with my brother Thomas and my sister Erin, accompanied by Matt and Tyrone, sharing with my father his favorite music and comforting and loving him as he left this world. And now that he's gone, and he's not here to be his own biggest fan, I plan to sing his praise and acknowledge his strengths and say constant thanks for all that he contributed to our lives. I encourage you all to do the same.